Over the past 24 hours, Sony has somewhat turned into the villain of the gaming industry, with many people saying their recent actions are anti-consumer. I want to take a look at what is happening with this and give you guys my thoughts on the situation. And finally, are you tired of Nintendo Direct rumors? Well, too bad, because August Nintendo Direct rumors are heating up once again. What's going on, guys? I'm RGT85. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. So this holiday season will be a very exciting holiday season for video game fans because, well, there's new consoles coming. The PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X are both scheduled to launch this holiday 2020, and I love new consoles. I love getting new consoles, new technology, and new games for these consoles, so I think it's a very exciting time, and I'm sure you do too. But over the past 24 hours, a lot of people have been saying that Sony is becoming very anti-consumer when it comes to things like games and the PlayStation 5 in general, so I basically want to go over this information. Some of it we touched on in yesterday's video, but I want to explore it deeper because it seems like this is becoming more and more prevalent with many people speaking out about this, and I'm just kind of confused as to why when it comes to the facts of the situation. So one of the things that a lot of people are talking about is the upcoming Avengers game. Now, the Avengers game is of course being made by Square Enix, so this is not a first-party Sony or Microsoft title. Well, yesterday it was announced that the Avengers game will only have Spider-Man 4 in the PlayStation 4 version of the game, meaning that if you get the Xbox One version of the game, you get no Spider-Man. Now, obviously, Sony does have the licensing rights to Spider-Man when it comes to movies, but when it comes to video games, technically they do not. He is not a first-party character. It's sort of a gray area, to be honest with you. Obviously, Spider-Man came out on the PlayStation 4. Miles Morales is coming out on the PlayStation 5, but it is sort of a gray area when you look at games like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, which of course featured Spider-Man, and that was a Nintendo Switch exclusive game. But all because they don't own the licensing for the games and only the movies doesn't necessarily mean that that doesn't equal any sort of leverage for them, because I do feel like that does equal leverage for them. The other sort of situation that's going on right now involves the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 controller. Like I said, we talked about this in yesterday's video, basically saying that if you play your PlayStation 5 games, you cannot use a DualShock 4 controller. You'll have to use the brand new DualSense controller. Now, if you want to play PlayStation 4 games on your PS5, you can use a DualShock 4, but the DualShock 4 will not work with the PlayStation 5 library of games. So because of these two situations, everyone is saying that Sony is very anti-consumer this console generation, and it really is just strange to me. I can understand why people are saying that because Xbox is being very pro-consumer, but you gotta look at Sony and Microsoft because they're two entirely different companies. When it comes to the video game division of Sony, it's a very profitable division for them. It's a very important division for them. It's one of their best divisions as a company. But when you look at Microsoft, it's not. It's one of the smallest divisions for Microsoft, and really it's just an afterthought for them as a company, that being the gaming division. Now, of course, the gaming division has been building up steam with things like Game Pass being very successful, but really at the end of the day, for Microsoft, video games are a very small portion of their business model, whereas when you look at Sony, it is a huge portion of their business model. And that's an important term that we have to keep in mind with this, and that is business. At the end of the day, video game companies are businesses. They aren't necessarily your friend. Sure, they want to throw you a bone from time to time to build some consumer loyalty, but really they are businesses. They strive to be profitable and make as much money as humanly possible. So when I see things like the DualSense controller being needed to play PlayStation 5 games, I understand it because that is a profitable division for Sony. Now, is it very pro-consumer what Microsoft is doing? Yes, it is entirely pro-consumer with doing things like Game Pass, with doing things like allowing your Xbox One controller to be used on the Xbox Series X. But all because that is pro-consumer doesn't mean that what other companies do is necessarily anti-consumer. It's just more along the lines of the traditional business model. It's not black or white with this situation. All because something is pro-consumer, it doesn't necessarily mean that something else is anti-consumer. I do have some questions though about this situation, because was it anti-consumer when Link stuff was put into Skyrim for the Nintendo Switch version of the game? Was it anti-consumer when Star Fox was featured in Starlink for the Nintendo Switch version of the game? No, it's just added incentive to buy those versions of the game. If a company like Sony is willing to pay money to make Spider-Man an exclusive offering in the PlayStation PlayStation 4 game of the Avengers. I understand that. If you're willing to put money into this to get this version of the Avengers to be the best version of the game by featuring Spider-Man on your console, why wouldn't you want to do that? A lot of people are assimilating the Spider-Man franchise with the PlayStation brand because of things like Spider-Man coming out on the PlayStation 4 and of course Miles Morales coming out on the PlayStation 5. Like, I get it, you want companies to be pro-consumer, and I do think Microsoft is doing a good job by doing things like allowing for the controllers on the Xbox One to be utilized on the Xbox Series X, but that doesn't necessarily mean that what Sony is doing is anti-consumer. It just seems very strange to me because I can't use my Wii U gamepad on my Nintendo Switch. Is that anti-consumer? Like, no, I understand it. I can't use certain controllers for certain games on certain platforms. Is that anti-consumer? No, I understand it. You gotta remember, folks, at the end of the day, the video game industry is simply that, an industry, a business, and these companies want to make profit. They will throw you a bone from time to time to make it feel like, you know, you are a part of their club. It's a sort of build brand loyalty, but at the end of the day, they want your money, and if they have to do things to get your money, they're going to do that. Now, whether or not you want to accept that or not, that's totally up to you, but to me personally, I don't feel like what Sony is doing is anti-consumer in any way, shape, or form. They are clearly trying to move on to the next generation of consoles in a traditional format, where the Xbox brand is doing something completely different, which will work out. If I had to take a guess, I will say the PlayStation 5 will probably work out a bit better than the Xbox Series X, but maybe I'm wrong on this situation. Maybe it is anti-consumer. Let me know in the comments down below. And finally, are you tired of Nintendo Direct rumors? Because, I mean, sometimes I get tired of them. You would think I wouldn't get tired of them because usually Nintendo Direct rumor videos do very well, but sometimes you just get bored talking about these things. You want action. You want to see actual games from Nintendo, more so than talking about what could be potentially happening. But now an August Nintendo Direct rumor is circulating, and there's actually some good backing behind it, so I decided to talk about it. Now, obviously, like I've said a million times in very recent videos, we don't know what Nintendo is doing in 2020. It is a big mystery. Are they making video games anymore? Are they moving over to pachinko machines? You know, what is Nintendo doing as a company? But it seems like we might actually be learning about what Nintendo is doing very, very soon, as within the next week or two. And now this information is coming to us from Venture Beats Jeff Grubb, who is also a buddy of mine. He was on the Spawncast one or two times. He seemed to really be interested in my 30-inch sub stories. But Jeff Grubb is doing a Summer Games Fest sort of thing, much like Jeff Keighley, where he basically just outlines what events are happening. And this is sort of an ongoing thing where he consistently updates it based on events that are either added or change dates and change times for the events that are supposed to be happening. Well, recently he's had Nintendo as sort of a wild card. It wasn't really pigeonholed in any sort of position in his graph, but yesterday he actually changed it up and put Nintendo in a very specific spot between August 11th and August 22nd. So a lot of people are thinking that now this will be happening and there will be a Nintendo Direct between August 11th or August 22nd, or at least some sort of Nintendo game announcement. And really, I think that makes perfect sense. Like, if August comes and goes and Nintendo doesn't say anything about video games, you gotta wonder, like, what the hell is going on with this company? And then you could start to sound the sirens and sound the horns and, you know, DEFCON 5, you know, the end is near for Nintendo, because this would be an absolutely bizarre situation. The one thing that is, of course, heavily rumored is the Super Mario 35th Anniversary Collection, and, you know, they could do something like a Nintendo Direct based around that. Of course, yesterday we talked about how No More Heroes was rated by the Taiwanese rating board, and it seems like that game will be coming to the Nintendo Switch, the original version of that game, so that could be something else that you talk about in this upcoming Nintendo Direct. Now, what sort of Nintendo Direct will this be? Will it be a full-on event? Will it be a mini? Will it be a third-party presentation? Will it be a game-specific one? I think if it is a game-specific one and it's the Mario stuff, cool. I'm totally cool with that. Anything beyond that, though, I'm just not really interested in it, because I don't need to see more Pokemon DLC. I don't need to see more Smash Brothers DLC. I need to see some new games coming out from the company. If it's a third-party presentation, hopefully there's some more interesting third-party games, a wider variety of stuff. And if it's a Nintendo Direct Mini, I don't necessarily think that's bad, because like I said, the March Nintendo Direct Mini was actually very fun. And if it's a full-on Direct, well, hell, it's been almost a year since we've had one of those. Do we even remember what those are like anymore? But yes, it does seem like Nintendo will be doing something potentially between August 11th and August 22nd. And really, I just hope so, because I'm tired of Direct rumors. I want to talk about actual Nintendo games. Alright, so that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I was actually not going to film today because there's actually a tropical storm going on outside my house right now. The wind is whipping, but I was kind of bored and I was like, you know what, we're going to make a video anyways, and if I blow away during the video, I mean, hey, maybe it'll go viral and it'll get 1 million views. But let me know what you guys think of everything in the comments section down below. Is Sony an anti-consumer company, or do you understand that at the end of the day, this is just a business and an August Nintendo Direct? Do you expect it? What do you want to see from it? And all that sort of jazz. And as always, folks, thank you for watching this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, check out other videos. I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching the videos and supporting the channel. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.